Hello, Phil. Welcome to the Restaurant Marketing Summit for 2022. I really appreciate your time. And today you're looking at restaurant marketing using video and retargeting. So it looks very exciting. And what I'm going to do is just going to let you present your presentation, and I look forward to it. So take it away, Phil.
Sure. Well, if I could, if you let me share my screen.
Sure. Yeah.
What I have here is, I talked about video when we originally talked, but what I'd like to do is just kind of go over the whole, what I call the Milkshake Method. Mm-hmm. It's just, the name of my business is Good Milkshake Digital. And so this is just something that I use to, with all my clients, and in some form or another, as far as getting, getting the attention of your customers, and and then once you have their attention, finding different ways to capture their information as you go along, mm-hmm. and sort of bring them in the door, and then also finding ways to bring them back. So it's basic marketing, but it's just on a digital scale. And we have these tools, and it's sort of fun to be able to use these tools in a way that, that marketing 15 years ago, was pretty much impossible. So if I, is it okay to share? I'm trying to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It looks like it's disabled.
Okay.
Yeah, Jerry, I know we talked a little bit about, you mentioned that I was going to talk about video, and I'm more than happy to do that because it's very key to my strategy. But at the moment, what I'd like to do is focus on what's called the Milkshake Method, which it's my business. The name of my business is Good Milkshake Digital, and this is kind of what I do to encourage, get the attention of people, and then try to capture those people, get them in the door, and then get them to come back. So it's just real basic stuff that I've learned over the years. And I've run a digital agency in Des Moines, Iowa, here in the central United States. Worked with dozens of bars and restaurants over the years, and we're coming up on 28 years now in the restaurant industry. Anything from being a line cook to a coffee shop owner, pretty much all over. And like I said, Jerry, I'm going to tear through these fast because I appreciate people's time, and I want to make sure that they get the highest quality info. This is a presentation I've done numerous times, and I just want to make sure that it's what people are looking for. So I owned a coffee shop back in 2006, started it with my brother. Great experience. And one of the things that we did to get people in the door was a little thing called MySpace. And what this did for us is helped us digitally, meet with people without having, so it really got me the bug. In fact, we were one of the first restaurants or first bars and restaurants in the entire world to place an ad on Facebook when it first came out. So what is a Milkshake Method? I want to go over this. It's basically setting expectations with my clients to making sure that they know, what it is that they're getting into. And I'm going to go through all these points here: gathering all the digital assets, creating long-term content. And that means, video and photos and, all that sort of stuff. And then gathering more assets, both internal and external, and then figuring out the low-hanging fruit, sort of how can we get more business in the door right away? And I'll go into all these things in just a moment. So we need to set expectations. What this means is I like to when I meet with these people, have some personas, really figure out the avatar of the type of customer that comes in the door. And this is one of the first things I do. I just have an interview. What is your typical customer? Is it, do you live close to a university? Are you somebody that has a hospital nearby? Do you have a takeaway business that is extraordinary? And well and above, what are the 5 things you do better than everybody else, and how do you reach the people that absolutely love you? So these are the types of questions I ask. And then I ask, what's the best type of marketing campaign you've ever run? And we really figure out that sort of Pareto principle, that 80-20 rule. And I try to find out, what is that 20% of content that brought you 80% of the attention? And what we do is we find 5 or 6 of those things, and we just double down on those in ways that they haven't tried before. So, for example, they might have had doing a charity event, and that got them lots of attention. So we'll do maybe another charity event, but we'll do it in a video form, and then we'll also capture the data of the people that go through that. So that's just one example, but it could be a 2-for-1 pizza offer. It was a great campaign, and it brought them in an additional 50 customers one week. So that sort of thing. We'll list all those things out, and then we'll try to double down on what those are.
Okay.
And then explain that, I'm there for their long-term sales. So each person knows that I'm there in the long term, I'm interested in growing their business. So, and then what we do is we gather all the digital assets that they have. So that means, it's kind of silly here, but okay. So I basically try to find anything they've ever done. So all emails, and then I get all of their Instagram. For example, I find out if they've ever done anything on Facebook Messenger, what sorts of things that they've done for, when I say digital assets, I mean emails. If they have, 500 emails, if they have 5,000, I want to know these things, because all these things can help generate sales right in the interim, right, as we get going here. And that also means creating Facebook ad audiences. And I'm going to go into that in just a second. So what we do is I know this is, I hope I'm not being too high level here, Jerry, because I want to make sure that I'm respecting the audience as well. Yeah. Some of this stuff might be too marketing heavy, and I want to make sure that I can give practical information too. So if I'm not giving practical information, if this is too high level, just stop me and I'd be happy to explain anything.
No, I think it's good as you're explaining each concept, so they have some sort of an idea of how you do the work. And I think that's beneficial to them. Yeah.
Right. Now, in the Facebook ad system, there's something called audiences that people can build, right? And I'm going to go into that in a second. These are different pockets of places where people can you can retarget some of your ads to. So what I'm talking about here is I take a video, and I take anybody that's watched 50% of that video, and I can retarget my ads to those people. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. That also includes an engagement list. So anybody that's ever engaged in your ads in the last 30 days, for example, I can create a list of people that have engaged with your ad and then retarget any ad to those people. And also, what I do is I set what's called, I can also upload any emails into Facebook. So I take any email list you have, I upload them into Facebook. Facebook then matches those emails with Facebook users. So that also creates another list where I can retarget those ads to. And then also I have a list of people that have visited your website. So on Facebook, it's a little bit more difficult these days since Apple has cracked down on this sort of tracking. Some countries have also cracked down on it, but it's adding what's called a Facebook pixel. It's a little piece of code that you put on top of your website, very first line of code in your website. It's very easy to do. And with this, I'm able to track the amount of people that actually come to your website. And then finally, and if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer those. These are kind of technical, but it's what I do. There's kind of the secrets to what I do is creating one massive list that I'll get into later. That's called the VOLTRON list. That's not proprietary in any means. Anybody can take it and do whatever they want with it. And then I take all this stuff together and I form it in one list, and that's who I show all of my lists, or all of my anybody that's on this list gets the vast majority of the ads that are seen by this client. So they don't have to spend nearly as much on ads because they're targeting the exact right people that enjoy their brand and they've engaged in their brand in the past. And they're people that generally would be interested in buying from them. So this is, like I said, this is called the VOLTRON list. And this is just me being a nerdy Gen Xer. This is, if you're familiar with the cartoon Voltron, of course, is these 5 individuals and they come together to make one big robot thing.
Yeah.
It was a cartoon in the 80s, right? And this is what I call the Voltron list. You pull all these things together and they make one impressive robot to go gather your customers for you. So in the in Facebook Ads Manager, if you feel like this needs an additional video, I'd be happy to do it. But this is just one client of mine. And what I've done for them is I take all of these things. I take their Instagram engagement, their customer list, this is emails, and then I take the pixels from their websites. So I have a pixel of all their URLs on their website. So anybody that's ever visited their page, let's say in the last 60 days, will be on this list. And this is constantly updating. Facebook does this for you. And pardon me. And then Facebook video views. So let's say I'll take one video that's that I have as a core piece of content. Anybody that's seen that video for half of the time, so that they'll also get in this list, rooftop, and then anybody that's engaged in Facebook here, and then I also including the other email lists. So all this together, I'm reaching a fairly small amount of people for, let's say, I believe this is an ad that was $8 per day. And I'm reaching, 25 to 50 people engaging in it. And I'm reaching upwards of, 2,500. And then I put a geography label around it. So anybody in this audience that lives in this area here, they'll see the ads. So I know there's a lot for, if you've never seen a Facebook ad thing like this, it may be a lot to get to know. And I'd be happy to go into depth on this type of thing, maybe in another video, maybe if you have any questions about it. But I like to explain this stuff just because I think that these things can be daunting if you don't know what they are. And I know this probably seems like a lot of information, but it's really a lot easier to do if we just, with just a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and not a lot of money. That's the thing. This really doesn't cost a lot of money. And I know it seems very technical, but if you just, and these people have a million other things to worry about. If you're a restaurant owner, there's so many other things to worry about than just, getting this type of granular marketing together. But once you get it going, you could probably get $30 a day worth of ads down to about $6 or $7 for the, rather than spending on an enormous net. You can really focus down on who you're trying to reach.
I think it's important that restaurant owners have some sort of understanding of what you do and how it works. They don't need to know everything. It's just like a car engine. You don't need to know how that engine actually works. You just need a few things, like you've got to top up the oil and the water.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't change my own oil in my car, but at least I know where the oil goes, right? So at least I hope so. Okay, and then this is just some extra stuff here. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it as high level as I can, but I just put this field here for no reason at all. This is my favorite baseball team, the Chicago Cubs. Anybody familiar with baseball will understand. Okay, so the purpose of this content is just to build these VOLTRON assets and collect emails and subscribers. Now, this is when I'm talking about subscribers, I'm talking about Facebook Messenger subscribers, and we'll get to that in a minute. The difference is Facebook Messenger has changed a little bit in recent years, and I probably last 18 months or so, making it a little bit more difficult to reach out to the people that are on your subscriber list. But it doesn't mean it's any less valuable. So I'll go through that in just a moment. And what I mean is, anytime somebody messages you on your page, I use a separate program to capture those Facebook Messenger contacts. And I still do that, but more recently I've been using text messaging a lot more. So I'll get into that in just a moment too. So what I do is I try to make content that people will watch, and ideally I try to get them to pay attention for at least half the video. And these are 15-second videos. So this is something somebody's scrolling through an Instagram feed, for example. They'll see the ad and they'll just stop for maybe 5-10 seconds. That's what I'm going for.
So it's really just creating a brand awareness, isn't it?
Right. And I'm gonna speed through some of this other stuff in here because, like I realized, knowing your audience is important. This is usually seen by marketers. And I'm not saying that it's so far above and beyond what a restaurateur could understand, because it just totally is, because I'm basically one of you. But this is, I'd like to give some more practical things on this as well, just to make sure that people know that it really doesn't take a lot of heavy-handed content to reach lots of people. So these are some examples of things that I've done. For example, here's a fancy restaurant, one of my clients here. So it's sort of what we do is I'll take a video of a bartender, and in this one we'll go through, I think the video was 1.5 minutes. And I'll try to make it interesting for them. For example, they're showing how they make a particular martini, and it's just one shot. It's not anything fancy as far as video editing goes. It's just me with a camera and and a really cheap light, and it really gives it. So what I do for this is, I capture this information, and what I'll do is I'll take this info and save it, like I said before, within the Facebook audiences. So if anybody's seen this video for, let's say, 30 seconds or so, I'm able to retarget to people and for future Facebook ads. And same things with things like this. For example, this post got a lot of this was done about a year ago, and it was basically it got some decent engagement. So then what I would do, like I said earlier, is I take the people that have engaged in this post, and engagement is a like, comment, or a share, and anybody that's liked, commented, or shared on this post gets put into that VOLTRON bucket that I talked about earlier as far as engagement. Mm-hmm. And here's a bar and grill chain in my area, also a client. They had a new menu, so got lots of engagement here. Again, all these people that like, comment, or share get put into this bucket of people that will see future ads. Another chef here, the chef owner of a restaurant, did this really nice video about, we put this video together about, how he baked these clams, how he fries up these clams. And it was just a nice little video. Anybody that sees this within a minute of watching this is generally speaking going to be a customer of theirs within a month. That's our goal. So we just know that people watch these things. And if they're already doing these, if they're already sitting there watching your videos, how do you go through and capture their attention again? And so that's what we do with this list. We create decent content. And this is sort of long-term content examples that this will be in an ad for about a month. This was in an ad for about 2 weeks. And anytime that there's engagement on it, we just add them to the list. So like I said, I like the term sort of shaking hands with people before they come in the door. And I like to try to find 5 connections daily. That's my goal. And it may seem overkill by some, but what that means is I try to make sure that people have the opportunity to see some of our content at least 5 times a day. So that when I talk about 5 times a day, I'm talking about my core VOLTRON list. So let's say that's, that list is 5,000 people deep. I want to make sure that I at least show content to those people, the potential to have them see a piece of our content 5 times a day. And that doesn't mean they'll see it at all. I want to make sure that it's at least in front of them 5 times, if possible.
Yeah.
So another thing I do too, replying to all reviews with respect, you know, both good and bad. That comes with any Google review, TripAdvisor, that sort of thing. And then gathering more assets. This is this part where it might get into the weeds a little bit, and I apologize, but this is, for example, this one restaurant quit doing it recently, but this is just a sort of an old example. But at the same time, they still do similar things to this. So this was back in 2017, so a little dated, but it's still relevant. That basically we took this idea of every Thursday they had this special meal that they created. They do a different theme every week, and then they would sell tickets to this in advance. So it's a perfect opportunity for somebody like me, that to show that I can bring them more business. So what we did is we took one of these meals and we would give it away once per week. So the restaurant seated, I think, after 2 turns of the restaurant, is somewhere, I think they sold up about 60 tickets or so, possible. So we advertised it this way, and then basically asked people to, mention a friend down below, give this post a heart or a thumbs up, and then share it with a friend. So we got enormous. Whoops, I'm kind of scrolling past here. Apologies. Enormous response. So we ended up selling. They were getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 customers per week, and we increased it to about 44, 45 or so per week, just by giving away one of these dinners per week. So just good. Another idea, just giving away giving something away that you'd probably not be filling that seat anyway. So by giving it to somebody else, giving somebody the opportunity to spread the word to their friends that this thing exists. And by doing this week after week after week, we're generating about, at one point in the peak of it, about $2,200 extra revenue per week. So
not bad.
All right. And this is just another thing we did for holidays. We sold, $100 worth of gift cards for $60. It's basically just a cash grab for him after the holidays one year. And we used his text we basically used his text list to send people out messages that we're doing this thing. And we ended up selling all close to $11,000 in gift cards in 3 days.
Wow.
Another couple of things, just various clients giving away tickets to, this is a Cirque du Soleil thing. This is from a couple of years ago, for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And then we also did some for another client here. We did a contest that ended up in, I think it was just a free burrito for a year, and ended up in just in 1 week an extra $1,300 in sales.
Wow.
So, and then the other thing that we do for one of our restaurants is a review bot. So every time they come in, this is in the check presenter. This is something that somebody could do immediately. Now, this is if you really wanted to, without going through this whole bot rigmarole here, because this is a different level of skill. I would recommend, if you're a restaurant owner, if you want to just take one thing away from this whole thing, because this is very dense. It's hard to be so dense. But if you want to have one thing in here that you take away from this, is that you can get dozens more reviews per month if you put one of these in the check presenter. So if you have a check presenter, so if somebody's, at the bill at the end of the meal, what I do for these folks is we give them one of these and basically ask them to use a QR code to scan in, and basically takes them through a process to give them a 5-star review if they had a good experience. Well, if they want to give a one-star review, they could. So that's the downside. But at the same time, I think people overvalue they both undervalue and overvalue the relevance of review sites. And here's what I mean. A really bad review is not ideal. But if you get a bunch of 3, 4, and 5-star reviews, what this does is this activity alone is going to boost your relevance in the review sites as they show you to the general public. So a restaurant with 400 reviews that has, let's say, a 4.1 star on their is rating, might get seen hundreds of times more than the restaurant that is a 4.2 star that only has, let's say, 100 reviews. So more reviews are better. Obviously, you don't want a bunch of 1-star reviews, and that's the risk you take with this. But if you could put a QR code in one of these things just right as people are leaving, and you say, hey, look, especially if somebody had a really great experience, you have your servers just say, look, I really appreciate you coming here. These are really hard times for us. If you could leave us a review and tell your friends that you were here, it'd mean the world to us. So what we do here is we give them a $20 gift card we give we do a drawing once a month for a $20 gift card. This is a chain of restaurants, so this means this $20 means nothing to them. But we end up getting dozens more reviews per month, and by and large, most of them are positive. So anyway, let's go through here. We have this is if you forgive these gifts up here. I've one. Here's another thing that I have. I have a restaurant that I do a birthday bot for. If anybody needs more questions about this, but basically they give they let kind of a younger audience, obviously, but let people drink for free, which can be dangerous. But let people drink for free on Thursday nights. For I think it's like a 3-hour time. And they make sure that people don't overdrink. But
yeah. we can't do it in Australia. We can't give away free alcohol, no.
Well, yeah. There. I'm sure there are some rules for this. Just pretend like it's a free appetizer on your birthday, for example. Yeah. Same concept applies. Now, this is obviously grossly inflated because each one of these people is bringing in 5 or 6 of their own friends. that's the whole idea, is if you give something away for free, say a free birthday, 2-for-1 burger on their birthday is a good example. They're going to come in, they'll have a few pints, and they'll leave with a much higher bill than if they decided to go elsewhere. So, so here's another thing that's probably more practical for you. So if you're looking for something, obviously gatherings are very difficult these days with the virus and whatnot. But this still might help somebody that has a catering business that might, for example, have an outdoor catering business. I'm not sure. There might be an opportunity for gatherings, for weddings and things like that, or wedding rehearsal dinners in this case of 20 or so people. So it's one thing we started doing with this restaurant a number of years ago, and one thing that people get this time of year, obviously, start thinking about weddings in the upcoming season. And, what we were able to do is you can really get down and target specifically people that are engaged and women. So, and this is what we did with this ad. We targeted people that we were going to do rehearsal dinners. And we just did a little offer here. It said, $147 off your rehearsal dinner at Roca. And what this did is it basically sent these leads directly to the owner. So we set this up. I'm just trying to think of an easier way to do this rather than having to go through the whole Zapier and a bot and all that kind of thing. You can set up Facebook lead ads within Facebook. And it allows you to, you can get those. If you have a new lead, you'll have it sent directly to your phone, your email, and it'll tell you, this person is looking to have a wedding rehearsal dinner, and you just call those people right away. And so we, like for this one, for example, we only spent $127 in ad spend, and we booked 8 different parties. This is a couple of years ago, but we still do this. So just one example here. This is I think a 3-week campaign with only 127 in ad spend. So if you're looking for different ways to make money through private events, Facebook ads are a great way to do that. And especially through Facebook lead generation type of things, it basically brings it up on a Facebook form. So you don't have to create a separate website or anything else. You've probably seen those, you click on an ad on Facebook and it gives you a form to fill out, basically phone number, email, and name, or phone number, email, name, and that's it. So, so that's all I got for here, Jerry. This is basically this is basically my whole program. Mm-hmm. And my apologies to, I know people value the info, and I know that I would as an owner too, but I can imagine people sort of being, glossy eyed over some of this stuff. Like, it's kind of a lot to take in if you've never had much experience with the Facebook Ads Manager before.
Yeah, that's true. It can be very technical, and they don't want to actually do the technical stuff. But as I said, I think it's really important they understand what you're doing and they can appreciate what you're actually offering. So I think that, a lot of restaurant owners will think, well, they don't appreciate the skills and the technical knowledge to run these campaigns. And I think when they understand that, they think, well, great, I know what you're doing. Go ahead, you do what you do, and I'll do what I know.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Hire somebody, right? Hire Jerry. Because there's just but at the same time, if somebody really wanted to, how do you spend your extra 15 minutes per day? Obviously, you don't want to think about the restaurant if you come home, just hanging with the family. But maybe one thing you could do is just open up an ad campaign or an ad account and just kind of poke through there and see if there's, learn how to create audiences within the ad set level and is I would think about getting them to the means of like of just creating one video and then retargeting to that one video. Does that make sense? Maybe not, but
yeah, so basically, I mean, these videos don't have to be super professional. You know? In fact, the more organic it is, the more views they'll get, probably. Yeah?
Right. Exactly. I would think of it just putting a camera to your face and saying, or phone to your face and saying, "Hey, everybody, you know, it's Phil. I'm with this, over here at Mars Cafe, we have a special here on, on cucumber sandwiches or something, just trying to get rid of something. Yeah. Stop in here this week and we'll give you a free latte with your purchase." And just something like that, real simple. I think people overthink these things. I think they need fancy graphics. I think they need one of the best ads I've ever seen. I wish I had an example of it. Was a small restaurant in just in the northeast corner of Iowa, very rural, very agricultural town. I think this town is somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 people. And the ad said, "We sell good food." I could not believe how perfect that is. What else do you need to know? Right. I mean, so I mean, some people just, and he probably spent $5 on the ad. And the point is that if you had, because people like to overthink these things, just do it. Just create as much content as you can that you're able to. You don't need to hire a videographer necessarily to do it. If you did, that's even better. Yeah. But just start by putting a camera into your face, taking a picture of something, and then putting $5 to $10 per day in ads behind that image. You're going to be far and away beyond. And you might not say, to be able to track that, you might not be able to look at that and say, I might not be able to look at that and say, I'm having, terrific result. I'm not getting an extra 50 customers per day, but that $5 might be one customer that comes back once a month. So I hope people think that each one of their posts, even if it's only seen by 100 people on a consistent basis, what you're doing is it's a slow drip. You're just showing people, look, this is the atmosphere here. Here's our personality. Here's how much we care about, being a part of this community. What are the other things that I can do to showcase what I do, who I am as a person? You don't have to do a whole bunch of, sappy videos, funny videos. You don't have to get on TikTok necessarily. You just open up an Instagram account, connect it to your Facebook page. And, I'm sure most of these people already have that. This is 2022. But the point is that once you do these things, just take $5. And if you can learn how to properly target these things, even better. But even by boost, and I don't, this word boost is sort of a dirty word in the marketing circles because people think it's a waste of money, but I don't. I think by spending, $5, $10 per day to reach out to, to an additional 200 potential customers per day, even if you're not seeing those results right away, I promise you, people are seeing and noticing your ads. They might be scrolling through, but I can't tell you how many times just subconsciously something comes up in my mind where there's a local brew house here, and I haven't been there in years. And wife and I were looking for some takeaway, carry out type stuff. And we, I just thought, okay, well, maybe we should just order from these people. It just came up just sort of subconsciously where, you remember people so much more often if you, see them regularly in your newsfeed. It's just going to happen. Right.
So, what about Facebook Live? Is that worth doing? Do you get better results with the live video?
Yeah, I don't know if it's better results. I mean, I haven't done many Facebook Lives over the last year because most of my encounters with my clients have been remote. Mm-hmm. But Facebook Lives, if you're doing it in a way to, let's say, teach something to somebody. So, hey, we're live in the kitchen here. Chef's going to show you how we prepare these clams, and just come along with us, and we'll show you how to do it. Or I'm live for 1 minute, and it's a nice way to switch things up.
Yeah.
If you have something that's just, and also what Facebook Live allows you to do is it publishes right away. So you pick up your phone. I don't necessarily know if it's more effective or less. I think it's about the same. But I think what it does is I think people forgive your mistakes more.
Yeah.
So if I'm on, like right now we're doing this video, and we're not going to have a lot of time to cut out my ums and ahs like I would if we were, completely edited. But if I had something if I had a phone in front of my face, people are a lot more forgiving. I think it's a lot more natural. People give you're like, oh, okay, you're speaking directly to me. Now I don't have any data on if that's changed, if the effectiveness of Facebook Live has changed. I don't know what you think, Jerry. What's the?
Yeah, I mean, I always think that if the restaurant, particularly stays in the heart of the city, the CBD, they might announce what they got, a lunch special. They might show the lunch special before the officers, want to go out and have a lunch. So if they're just down the street, it's a great way to promote your restaurant.
Right. I think I think you might get 5 or 6 viewers on that live, and then watching it 100 additional people on the replay. But that's a really easy way to do it.
Yeah.
If you wanted like the no hassle, no nonsense, you create your video, and here's the lunch special this week. Jerry, that's something that's like the easiest possible thing for an owner themselves to do. Now, if you want to hire a marketing person to kind of go through and take the fancy photos and all this kind of thing, you might want to do that. In fact, it's probably recommended. But at the very least, if you do that every day, you sort of expand that over a year. Let's say that video gets seen, 100 times per day. You right there, you're dealing with, let's say even take off weekends and holidays. Your videos are being seen 25,000 times in a year. Now imagine those in, let's say, a football stadium of 25,000 fans. I mean, that's it's an enormous group of people if you put it that way. But so you're only doing it once per day, and that's 100 people per day that are seeing those. But imagine if those 100 people are your ideal customers.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I have a steady stream of content that's going out to people that are ideally likely to show up here at least once a week, once a month. Mm-hmm.
It's just being top of mind, isn't it?
Right. So, anything else I can
look? I think, I think you've really covered all those spots there, and I think obviously you've gone more technical. But I think it's, as I said, it's important that the restaurant owners know exactly what you're actually doing without. And I'm sure a lot of them don't want to do that stuff, right? They're good. Right. They love making food and serving customers, but they can then appreciate the marketing behind all that as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I also like doing these things because it gives my clients an appreciation for the amount of work that's actually in it. I also don't want to make it seem like it's so out of reach for the average person to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some technical things in here, working with bots and text messaging, and some website things and design. These are things that obviously you might have to hire somebody to do if you're not comfortable doing those things. But the very basics of Facebook advertising are much easier than I think people give themselves credit, or much easier than people give it credit for. People think it's much more difficult than it actually is. I think it's easier for us. I think it's easier for, if I can teach my 75-year-old father to do it, I'm sure anybody, can go through and do this if they really wanted.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, Phil, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. You've been doing it for many, many, many years. I think, as you mentioned before, you were doing digital marketing when a lot of people just weren't doing anything at all. So I really appreciate that experience. And look, if people are interested in contacting you, how can they get you?
They can reach me, phil@goodmilkshake.com, or via Facebook Messenger is fine too. Just Phil K. James. There are a few Phil Jameses, but there are no Phil K. Jameses. So.
Yeah, well, that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you so much for your presentation there. We really appreciate it. And I do, or any restaurant owner there who's watching this, please take advantage of Phil. I'm sure he'll help you if you got any questions, and if you want his help, it's a good time to ask him to help, and I'm sure he will help your restaurant business to grow in 2022.
Well, thank you, Jerry. I'd be happy to answer any questions people have, and I'm happy to do it.
All right, Phil, take care, my friend.
All right, I'm going to go have a lightsaber battle with some 11-year-olds.
Well, you got to keep them active during the snow. All right, take care, Phil.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.